Let's shift focus now to Bajaj Auto. The numbers indicated that the January sales were 2.88 lakh units. That's lower than the 2.89 that was registered in December. As well, much lower, almost 10% lower than the 3.18 that the company sold year ago January. Rajiv Bajaj, Managing Director of Bajaj Auto, joins now. Rajiv, what would you blame this on? Do you think the industry is not picking up? Do you think you're losing market share? This is a fairly big year-on-year fall.
Right, Lata. Good morning. Let me try and break it down for you, and then the numbers will speak for themselves. As you correctly pointed out, overall year-on-year sales are down about 9%, approximately 3,20,000 to 2,90,000. If we break that down by product, we would see that three-wheelers, i.e. commercial vehicles, have actually grown quite nicely, about 14%, from about 36,000 to 41,000. Now within that, if you look at markets as in domestic and exports, this time it's the domestic market that has performed really nicely, up about 35% from 12,500 to 17,000, whereas exports has been flat at about 24,000. If we come to motorcycles, you're quite right to point out that there continues to be a year-on-year negative over there. Total motorcycle sales are just a little shy of 250,000. Roughly about 130,000 domestic, which is down, continues to be down year-on-year. Exports are marginally up this time, if I remember right, from about 113 to 118,000. So, coming back to your question, what are the significant issues? I think for us there are two. One, I think domestic industry continues to be very sluggish, and in my view we have to get past this budget, and we have to see whether sentiments revive, whether people make up their minds to come out and buy, because the excise hike on 1st of January has been a bit of an issue for the industry. 4-5% price increase is not small. It takes time to absorb that. I can share something about the overseas markets with you, but perhaps you have a question or two before that.
Rajiv, hi, morning. In fact, I wanted to talk about the export market a little bit, because this time around your exports have grown just 4% compared to the 10-15% that you used to enjoy in the last many months. Can you throw some more color on what went wrong in the export growth this time, and will you be able to resume double-digit growth from next month onwards?
Sure. Every month that we've been speaking the last few months, I have been consistently saying that exports are looking really good. In fact, if I remember right, growing about 22% year-on-year up until the last month. What has happened in the last month, and we continue to deal with that this month, is 2 or 3 issues in 2-3 different major markets for us. First, with Sri Lanka. We had, I think I mentioned last time, a large export order for motorcycles amounting to the export of incremental 30,000 Discovers every month between January and April. And we had every reason to believe that would go through, because we did satisfy a similar order in the previous quarter. Unfortunately, it's about politics, I think. With the change of government, the new government has kind of frozen temporarily that order. We are given to believe that we should expect that to go through, and we should receive news to that effect in the next week or 10 days. But with this sort of thing, till it happens, you never know what's happening. The second issue is our biggest export market, Nigeria, which will, I believe, go through elections in February. And if you see what happens during elections, typically retail falls by almost 50%. So right now, whether it's a Bajaj motorcycle or a Samsung phone in Nigeria, sales are down about 40-45%, particularly for motorcycles. So I think that will continue up until the end of March at least, till the elections are behind them. We have, just to be candid and put everything on the table, we have a bit of a hiccup in Egypt as well in terms of their own forex availability. I'm given to believe there are actually long queues for three-wheelers there. So demand is not an issue, but forex is an issue. So something is wrong in that part of our world as far as dollars and currency and exchange and stuff like that is concerned. But hopefully these things pass, as they always do, as they always have in recent years.
How big is the Nigerian market? What percentage of your exports?
Typically, in recent months, we've been exporting about 50,000 motorcycles every month to Nigeria, of a typical total of 300 to 350,000 motorcycles each month for the company. So that's big. It's about 20%. Similarly, for three-wheelers, I mean, one reason why three-wheeler exports at 24,000 for January are flat year on year is because in Nigeria, from doing typically 5,000 plus three-wheelers every month, we have done only 4,000 in retail terms last month, again owing to the disruption due to the politics.
Right here, your bike would cost about 20% more in Naira terms because of the devaluation. That is hurting the most?
The answer is yes and no. If I remember right, before the price increase was made, we were priced about 112 or 113,000 naira. I believe it is now about 123. So it's not quite 20%, but still it's a significant price increase. Having said that, no, I don't think that is the issue. Even if prices had remained stable, if we were to just look at previous years when Nigeria has gone through this election process, which we know is not a very smooth process in that country, then we have always witnessed this kind of a sharp fall in sales, because 98% of motorcycles are used as taxis, and a lot of those taxi drivers just go back home at this time, to participate in the local politics or that sort of thing.
So you did indicate in the conference call, Rajiv, that you will be looking at many new geographies in by the end of FY15 and FY16. Will you go slow on entering these new markets because of the slowdown we've seen overall in exports? And also, if you can give us what an average monthly run rate could look like in exports up until March, April, until the elections in Nigeria are over?
Sure. No, I think our work continues quite nicely in terms of entering new markets. We've had a lot of success with the markets we entered recently, such as Argentina and Mexico. So, if I remember right, we have about 29 markets that we are in the process of, either identifying the partner or sending in first shipments, etc., for both motorcycles and three-wheelers. I think 15 for motorcycles, 14 for the three-wheelers. So, we will continue to work vigorously on that, because that will be our growth engine for the next couple of years. In terms of volumes, as far as domestic sales are concerned, I did say some time back that we hope that by the time we start the new financial year, we are able to pull back domestic monthly volumes for motorcycles to a level of about 200,000 motorcycles, which in my view would represent about 23% plus minus 1% market share. And I think we are very much on track to do that. The Platina we launched, new Platina, all new Platina we launched last month has been received very well. I wouldn't say it's done very well, it's been received very well. We have another launch this month and another one next month as well. In terms of exports, it's a little hard for me to say with a great deal of certainty, in the sense that once the elections are over in Nigeria, and assuming that the new government honors the contract for motorcycles that was issued by the previous government, because that was not a presidential contract, it was issued by Parliament, by an act of Parliament. So if that is smoothened out, then I would like to believe that we would be back to about 130,000, 140,000 motorcycles a month and about 25,000, give or take a little bit, three-wheelers a month. So we should be back at the hit rate, monthly hit rate of 2 million vehicles, equivalent of 2 million vehicles a year as far as exports are concerned.
Have you noticed any improvement in your margins because some raw materials would be cheaper? Will you therefore want to price down any of your products?
Again, yes and no. Margins are better, as we demonstrated in the last quarter, because definitely commodities have softened. We have also passed on, or let's say hiked prices a little bit, very selectively on 1st of Jan by 0.5 to 1% over and above the 4% excise change. So that's going to help us. The rupee, I believe, is again back in the 62 plus zone, so that is nice as well. So in terms of margins, frankly, we are very comfortable. As far as pricing is concerned, Lata, that is a competitive issue. As long as we compete, we would like to compete on price parity in the marketplace, because otherwise we will only set off a discount war, and there is no end to that.
Okay. I just wanted one word from your end on what the prognosis is for the three-wheeler space now, Rajiv, because you know, you have been looking at the RE60 quadricycle launch with a lot of expectation, and so is the market. I understand that you've received a favorable response from some of the fleet operators as well, like Meru, Ola, etc., to induct it into their fleet. Is that true? And by when do you think this launch can come through? And what could the run rate be for three-wheelers?
Well, on the three-wheeler, as I said, domestically, recent months have been good. I think it's fundamentally a combination of two things. One, the completely new portfolio that we deployed into the marketplace over the last 12 months, that's doing really well for us, especially in the diesel segment. Also, there's been permits released. So as a combination of those two factors, 30-35% growth month after month, year on year, domestic is very good, and I think that's sustainable for some time. On exports, as I just finished saying, I think if the couple of countries settle down, Nigeria and Sri Lanka, I think we'll be fine. So 50,000 three-wheelers a month, as we've been doing for most of this financial year, I think is very much doable. Coming to the RE60, right now, the government has to respond to certain petitions that have been filed, and I believe they're in the process of doing that. Government continues to be very supportive of this concept, so I'm hopeful that in this quarter we should have approval for this. But again, when something's in court, it's not over till it's over. As far as interest in the vehicle is concerned, yes, from several quarters there is interest. I think it's fundamentally because it's not a new product, or it's not just a new product. It's a new category. What everybody can see very easily is it's not a three-wheeler, because it has more than three wheels and a steering wheel and safety belts and doors and roof and all that stuff. On the other hand, it's not a car, so obviously it's not only going to be cheaper, but it's going to be twice the fuel economy of a typical small car. So clearly people see the opportunity of a new category that's between a three-wheeler and a car, and I think that is the reason for the interest as far as first and last mile urban transportation is concerned.
All right, Rajiv, pleasure speaking with you as always, and all the very best for the coming months of the year.
Thank you.
Okay, so that's the first of the two-wheeler numbers, and it did not flatter at all. It's a 19% fall in motorcycle sales and an overall fall of nearly 10%, 9% year on year.
It's pretty much a double whammy for them. I mean, exports was the only saving grace so far, but as he pointed out, almost all export markets are seeing trouble now.